that anyone can grow up to become a millionaire. Is that a reality?
Well, I think nowadays, Rona, I think it's more and more of a reality with the lack of incentives that are being given to so many people. Many more people have a tendency maybe to give up. And I think the people that don't, I think they're actually finding the ways or maybe the paths are a little bit smoother than they were 5 and 10 and 15 years ago. It's a sad commentary, but nevertheless, it's possibly easier now than it was 10 years ago. Or maybe the paths are a little bit smoother than they were 5 and 10 and 15 years ago. It's a sad commentary, but nevertheless, Rona.
Do you think it's possible? The great American dream has always been to become a millionaire. For the people who have nothing, do you think that's a reality today? Excuse me, I can hear all of you over there and I can't concentrate, so could all of you please disappear? Thank you.
Anything. I think it largely has to do with incentive and drive and enthusiasm.
You remember my dad?
You're 34 years old.
A year after I met Elvis.
Your assets are considered to be over $1 billion.
They were hit by a train as they were crossing
Where did you get the incentive?
I was 10 years old.
I mean, 34, it's so young.
My grandmother contacted Elvis, and he was very upset about it upon, learning about the news. And he sent me a condolence card. And my grandmother said, well, you need to write him and thank him, so I did. And
of Elvis, in my estimation, was his spiritual strength and his faith and his being plugged into the power source, so to speak, plugged into God. And people are always attracted to that tremendous energy. Into God, and always attracted to that tremendous energy.
After my parents' death, I had a nervous breakdown. And I had developed a kidney disease and, glomerulonephritis. They told me I was going to die. I picked out my own coffin and made my own funeral arrangements and so forth. I was 16.
Because of the nature of it being gospel.
We've got artists now that are nominated for Grammys that get up on stage and insult people and incite riots.
Really, in my case, necessarily incentive. I enjoy what I'm doing. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I look at it as being somewhat creative. We've done developments that people said could not be done, and maybe because of the timing, maybe it was inflation, maybe whatever the end result has turned out to be tremendous with the various hotels, etc. I think I just basically I thrive on what I do. I enjoy what I do. I like what I do. And it's not that I'm looking for anything. I just enjoy it. When I get up in the morning, I'm excited about the day.
Is work your love?
It really is. I enjoy so much my work. And I think that's probably the key to anybody's success.
Is there anything you can't have? Anybody gets used to criticism, though, Donald. I think you can develop sort of what I call a right guard shield around you, but I think the sort of what I call a right guard shield around you, but I think
and when
the first
people
time
finally
people
realize
start
what you
attacking
are,
if you've never been attacked
they're
before,
gonna bash
it's a
your
feeling and an
face.
emotion and an action that is not accustomed, that you're not accustomed to. How do you handle it, or how did you handle it the first time?
First of all, I think you are right. I think you probably never really get used to it in the total sense. And maybe all I'm doing when you say, do you mind criticism? And I say, no, I really don't. Maybe I'm just creating my own little psychological wedge also for maybe that kind of a question. But
you antichrist.
You just have to go with it. I mean, you're always going to be criticized no matter what you do, and you have to realize it. And you really have to develop a little bit of a tough skin. And if you don't, you really cannot survive, I suspect, doing anything of any great importance.
Do you like having a tough skin? Do you think you have to have a killer instinct in order to be successful?
I think you have to have some, to a large extent, I think you do have to have at least a winning instinct. I think that the world is made up of people with either killer instincts or without killer instincts. And the people that seem to emerge all the time, it doesn't mean they're the best people, and it doesn't mean they're the happiest people. And in fact, in many cases, and in most cases, they're probably not. But the people that seem to emerge are the people that are competitive and driven and with a certain instinct to win.
You use the word competitive and driven.
You're such a liar. It's sickening. I can't sit here and stomach your lies. Okay? And you get off on this. You're a narcissistic, gray freaking alien. And you're going to be rounded up. Oh, yeah, you will.
Enjoyment. Pure and simple enjoyment, Rona.
I want to buy the enjoyment, but somehow I feel that there is something underneath it, that there's something more that makes you want to succeed, want to be who you are.
Well,
what do you think it is?
Maybe I can just, maybe I could just add the word creativity. I really enjoy creating, and maybe this is my form of creativity. You know, building a 68-story building on Fifth Avenue is my form of creativity, and making it the finest, not only the location, but instead of building an average building, we're going to make it the finest building in the world. And location was the only thing that gave the old building any value. If that building were in a different location, in a different city, or in a different... Well, I really, in that case, I reconcile it by saying that the fact that that building was at that location was the only thing that gave the old building any value. If that building were in a different location, in a different city, or in a different borough, or whatever, it would have had no artistic value whatsoever. It just happened to be sitting at the corner of Fifth Avenue and 57th Street, and that gave it a false value as a building itself. The second thing is I do value human life and human safety. And having taken those down, I can tell you that if we tried to save them, it's very possible. And they were 15 feet high. They were about a foot thick of solid concrete and stone. And if anybody ever tried to take them down, there was a very substantial chance that they would have slipped onto Fifth Avenue. And if that would have happened, people would have been very badly hurt and killed below. And the process of trying to redeem or trying to save things of little...
And I see men being shot up, legs being blown off.
You're talking about two non-existent armies. I mean, Iran has an army composed of American equipment without parts and without anything else, and Iraq has a very weak army, and they're just really fighting each other. I mean, it's almost hand-to-hand combat. If you see now, they've run out. It's a sad situation, Rona, but it's a situation which ultimately is going to get much worse. That little sparkle of war, that little sparkle is going to lead, in my opinion, to a much greater conflict, and I think that's very unfortunate. And I think a lot of it has to do with this country and the fact that this country is not more involved in terms of setting policy in that area.
Do you think perhaps that the oil industry is responsible for this, as the late Shah once implied?
Well, I wouldn't want to criticize the oil industry because I wouldn't know enough about it, but I can tell you that I think this country is responsible for that war by its own weaknesses. I don't think you'd have this war if they, again using the other word, if we were respected, properly respected as a country and as a people and as a nation.
One of those men to have gone to Iran, and taken those fellows out?
No, I wouldn't have wanted to be, but I would have done it.
Would you?
Absolutely. If I were the age, if I were in the military...
There were a lot of those fellows who went for that abortion.
If I were the age, if I were the age, if I were the age, if I were in the military...
There were a lot of those fellows. For some people, the ultimate goal in life has been becoming the President of the United States. Would you like to be the President of the United States?
I really don't believe I would, Rona, but I would like to see somebody as...
I'd like to announce I'm running for President.
President who could do the job, and there are very capable people in this country.
The other way.
Most people who are capable are not running for office. Most men are frightened of politics today.
It is a shame, isn't it?
Yes.
It is a shame. The most capable people are not necessarily running for political office, and that is a very sad commentary on the country. They had major corporations.
I did great in real estate. I did great in politics. But the one thing I hadn't done, I always wanted to be Elvis Pressley. I did great in real estate. I did great in politics. But the one thing I hadn't done, I always wanted to be Elvis Presley.
So what are we waiting for? I'd like to announce I'm running for president.
Elvis Presley. I did great in real estate. I did